Welcome to School's Out 80s Comedy Story Time.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of School's Out 80s Comedy Storytime. Got a really special guest to us, coming to us all the way from Dallas, Texas, amazing musician in his own right, Ty Weatherly. Say to everybody at School's Out 80s.
What's up, School's Out 80s? Good to be here.
Awesome, man. School's in class, baby. We're going to take it to town today, man. Ty and I are 2 cups of coffee in. We don't know how much coffee you all have had. And I'm 3 IPAs away from having a headache, so it's all good. Ty, man, so the show's called School's Out 80s for a reason. We talk about stories, throughout your entire life, really, but we sure do love to touch on, time periods that are important. So I think you had told me that you went to school in Plano, Texas, and I think you told me you went to Plano Senior High. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Awesome.
Class of 83. I just had a graduation or a reunion. I just played my reunion party.
Oh, that is so cool. So cool. Well, hey, drip on us a little bit. Who was the mascot of Plano Senior High? Do you recall?
Yeah, that would be it would be the Wildcat.
Okay.
And I just saw a picture of a couple of the guys that were the mascots, and they were hanging out. I think at Lava or something like that, and everybody got together.
Yeah. What's wild about you guys being the Wildcats is Plano East down the road from you to the west side. They're some kind of cat too, aren't they?
Oh yeah, they are the
Panthers.
The Pesh Panthers. Yes, Panthers. They are.
Oh, that is so wild. My wife taught school there for like 14 years or so, some kind of crazy, maybe it was 10 years. I don't know, man. It escapes me.
Oh yeah. She probably knows the choir director.
She might. Yeah. It's just kind of wild though that like 2 Plano schools and you're both named after some kind of cat.
probably the wildlife in the area,
I guess.
Kind of funny story is, when we played in high school, our one of our guitar players was from Pesh. Okay. So we would play at Pesh and we'd play at the senior high and try to help bridge it a little bit, that rivalry a little bit.
There you go. Well, take us back to like when Ty was younger, like freshman year, you're at Plano Senior High, you're walking through the halls and everything. Can you remember any funny stories when you were a freshman in high school, just right out of being in 8th grade?
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, so right out of 8th grade, we went to Plano has like 9th and 10th grade in one school.
Yeah.
So I went from the 8th grade to another school and it was just 9th and 10th grade. Mm-hmm. And, I was kind of like, straight A, National Junior Society, that kind of thing.
I like it.
Well, and then I started playing guitar at school. I learned guitar and then taught my best friend to play. And then they had what's called the Vines Jam. Yeah. And that was in the 9th grade in the gym. And we saw our friend playing drums up there. And we're like, we got to figure out how to get on stage. We got to figure out how to do this.
Okay.
And so I ended up getting a bass. And the thing about playing, there's a lot of musicians, so at lunch you'd have an argument, who's better, Jimmy Page or Alex Lifeson, or just stuff like that. Right. So music, I remember specifically at Vines hearing, Boston, Don't Look Back, and hearing that in the morning. And, for me, I think when I started playing guitar, I would like get ready for school and I'd look at my guitar and I go, I'll just play it for 5 minutes. I'll just play for 5 minutes. And then I'd be running I'd be late for school, running down that long road from my house. My house was directly straight about, a mile to the school.
Okay.
So, I started being a little bit late. That's when I started being a little bit late.
I like it. So, well, if you're going to be a straight A student and you're going to be a little late because you're playing a musical instrument, I think most parents would be happy about that.
It worked out okay. My parents were definitely very supportive. I'd be playing my bass all night, and I think my dad came in one time and said, "Hey, can you turn it down a little bit? It's the middle of the night," or something like that. So they were.
Yeah.
I was a little bit surprised, but they were definitely supportive. And my mom was the one like, do you really want to play guitar? Because I tried before and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
And I go, okay, maybe whatever. She goes, listen. I go, I want to play the guitar. So it was a really popular class, and she got me in the class. Put it that way.
Okay. So so this is kind of interesting, but playing the bass, did you also have like a 6-string guitar too? Did you like mix it up a little bit?
Yep. So what would happen is me and my friend were playing, and we both had classical guitars. I had a classical guitar, and his sister had one, so I would teach him on that. So when we started playing, I would tune my classical guitar down so I could play some bass.
Oh, wow.
We would we'd be doing like Head East or the Babies or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's when, like my best friend goes, well, why don't you play bass and I'll play guitar and I'll get all the glory. And I said, okay, fine. But I got into a band quicker because everybody needs a bass player.
Yeah.
So then I got a bass for Christmas. And then my birthday was a month later and I got an amp. And that's where that started. I didn't know how to play it, but I kind of figured out a couple of things.
Absolutely. So, back in the day, let's take you to high school again. So not necessarily freshman year, 8th grade or anything, but like maybe your junior year over at Plano Senior High. You ever seen any fights break out?
Oh my gosh.
It's okay if you didn't. I just always.
I went to 2 high schools when I was a junior, and one was in Arlington, and then back to the senior high. So fights. I try to stay away from the fights.
I get it.
I'm kind of cautious that way. So
I am too.
I don't remember any fights.
Okay. I thought maybe
I'll tell you, there was not a fight.
Fighting.
Well, there was when I was in Arlington. There was a girl I kind of liked, and I guess she kind of had a boyfriend, and he had a machete in his car that he kept in his car. So I was like, I'm going to have to stay away from you. That's not going to work.
There you go.
I remember that.
Oh my God.
I don't want to mess with machete, man.
Exactly. It's so we got our first little golden nugget in the show. So if you're dating a girl and her boyfriend has a machete, that's a no-no.
That's a red flag.
That is a red flag. Yeah, you're going to have to pass on that, regardless of how cute she is.
Yes, we were all still friends, Yes,
okay,
yeah, John. She was cute. She was definitely cute.
Yeah, I get it. But, if the guy has a sword, the guy has a sword. You just stay away.
Hopefully I have my bass with me.
Most guys don't want to get into a sword fight. Am I right?
No, not unless you're well trained in the fencing arts.
Well, and I don't want to be crass so early in the morning, but most heterosexual guys don't want to get in a sword fight. I'll just say that out. I'll just get that out there. But anyway, I digress. So Arlington, that's interesting. So that's a totally different dynamic. You're going from Plano, like people that'll hear this nationally and internationally. You got Plano, which is very much like suburbia, a lot of white collar people, highly educated people,
hardworking people in Plano.
Hardworking people in Plano. But you got Arlington, and so you got some manufacturing going out there. I think you got a General Motors, and you got maybe Ford too out there.
There's a
Lockheed Martin.
All that's in Fort Worth and that area. So Arlington was real big, way big compared to Plano.
But it's also like a blue collar area. Like
It was a totally different dynamic. I'll put it
Oh
this
yeah.
way, like when I went to Plano, I think somebody had, a DeLorean. They drove a DeLorean to school.
Right.
And then I moved to Arlington for a year. And the first day of school, somebody's like, hey, do you need to have somebody to have lunch with? And I was like, sure. And those people all became my friends.
That's
And,
cool.
then I hooked up in a band. Of course, it's all music related from the
Yeah.
ninth grade on. But yeah, so Arlington was a totally different dynamic. And I was able to come back to Plano, with having a couple of bands under my belt and then join a band in Plano.
Cool.
And then for a while I was driving back and forth because I had a girlfriend,
Out in
my
Arlington?
drummer, when I was oh yeah,
Oh,
from
okay.
Plano to Arlington
Yeah.
back in the day, that was like 10th grade.
Right.
I used to have like this cool van. My mom let me borrow her cool Dodge van. And so I was always loading the equipment, but I would, I'd bring everybody to lunch. We'd go driving for lunch.
Yeah.
I think one day nobody could go. I was just by myself or something.
Yeah.
And the radio didn't work, but I had this, kind of old 60s jam box working. It was probably my mom's.
Yeah.
And I hear like this weird noise coming out of the radio, like, here's the new Van Halen, It's like, what in the world is that? And that was Mean Street coming on with the slap and tap that Eddie was doing that
Man.
just blew my mind. And then to go see the
Yeah.
concert, Arlington definitely is a music town, just like Plano. I think everybody knows that for sure.
Man, so Van Halen, that's a great one. So when was your first Van Halen concert?
First Van Halen concert was 1980. That was the Women and Children First. Hide the Women and Children First. I mean, talk about, now it was really loud and distorted, but it was a major party.
Yeah.
And then the next year, the Fair Warning, that was like awesome. It sounded great.
Oh.
David Lee came out riding the big microphone with the big hat on, and it was just
Oh my gosh.
off the charts, as you can only imagine.
Right. Oh my God. I saw the 1984 and I wish I would have saw Women and Children First or Fair Warning. Two of my
I missed the 1984. So Women and Children First, those two. And then I saw Diver Down. But yeah, those were great.
Yeah.
Eddie was jumping on his amps and, making them, tilt back and forth. And
right.
Of course, I love Michael Anthony. That's how I started playing bass. Somebody put on the first Van Halen record, and you hear bum, bum, bum.
Oh, nice.
Like I could get behind that.
Yeah.
And then I heard Smoke on the Water. Bam, bam, bam. Okay, that's cool. And then do 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 do. This
right.
machine comes in. I go, okay. So that's how I got behind the bass.
I get it.
And
I get it. That is so cool.
That's how I've been doing it for my rest of 40 years.
Oh man, that is so awesome. I'm wondering, like, at one of the concerts, can you think of like a funny story that might have happened at one of the concerts, like back in the day?
Well, okay. So I went to see Journey on the Departure tour. That was one of the first shows I saw.
Yeah.
And the Babies opened up, and with Jonathan Cain, when Jonathan Cain was in the Babies. So
okay.
The Babies were awesome. So then Journey comes on and place is going crazy. They play for about an hour. And then the power goes out at Tarrant County. I mean, all the power's out. Bam, gone. They have to leave the stage. This was at Tarrant County Convention Center, April 1980. And they had to leave. Oh, yeah. They had to leave the stage for like 10 minutes. I mean, so the crowd is just like thinking it's like some kind of encore. So we're all screaming and going crazy.
Oh, wow.
They come back on, the lights come back on, they come up out of the stage and like the place was even more crazy. So that was one of my, like the second concert. I mean, I saw Rush and Journey and, I think the first concert I saw was Blue Oyster Cult and the second one was Rush. Like I had to go see Rush. And then Journey. Those are like my favorite bands. I mean, that's how I learned how to play bass, was like Ross Valerie, like Love and Touch and Squeeze and burm, burm, burm. Ross Valerie said, hey, just play with the bass drum. Well, that makes sense. Bass drum. And then I started listening to Rush and trying to figure some of that stuff out. And I probably shouldn't have been doing that because it kind of hurt my hands. But I think it helped me in the end.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Parlaying off a
Oh, and
Getty.
so,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I was going to tell
Uh-huh.
you now, my friend. You know how in the olden days it was when we saw Rush, it was winter, so you wear a coat, and then you have your tape recorder in the coat. You sneak the tape recorder in so you can tape the concert. And he
Right.
taped it, and it was awesome. We have a tape of, I think it was Permanent Waves concert, and
Oh,
so
that is
that was our
cool.
first drummer. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was our, me, my guitar player, and our drummer. That was our first garage band. Played in my garage, making up songs. You can't play, you don't know how to play anything.
Right. That's so cool though. That's like how a lot of bands get started though. Like that's how Alice Cooper's band got started. They didn't know how to play instruments at all, but they wanted to play. Like the desire was there, the talent wasn't there, and the talent came when the desire went forward. It's kind of cool.
Neil Peart is quoted as saying, I don't have much talent, but I was relentless. He just had to play the drums, and he just, I guess, willed himself to be that great. And for
What a
me,
humble guy. Like
huh?
what a humble guy. Like everybody thinks of him
Oh,
as an amazing drummer. And
yes.
oh my God, he's off the charts. Like most great drummers can't play Rush songs. Like, we hardly
It's
yeah.
well, it's like this. It's like my son plays drums, and
Mhm.
you'll see some little kids that are playing Rush. I mean, like, to be able to do that, you can't just start off on playing Neil Peart stuff.
Oh
You might
yeah.
want to start with the first album, and that's kind of what I did. Well, I kind
Yeah.
of started with Hemispheres and then went back, but so Neil definitely was so humble that he
Yeah.
took lessons later in life.
Yeah.
I think his
Oh yeah, I heard that.
his groove wasn't happening, so he took lessons. That's like he's got an ego, I'm sure, but like you just have to push it aside, and the music and your skill has to come
Yeah,
first.
man. Wow. That's so cool though. That is so cool. Well, I want to try to uncover, if I can, some of the stories that you might have thought of, like back in the day, as we're kind of talking about coming on. Can you think of a funny story, maybe for me, like during like your high school years, or maybe like right after high school, that just hit you and like, man, I got to share this one?
Oh, there's a couple of typical funny stories.
Yeah, go ahead.
We had we had to do it. This is in high school. This is like our senior year, maybe a
Yeah.
little bit afterwards, because we had a
Okay.
couple of younger guys in the band. So
Right.
we had a gig someplace, and we're like, went to the choir director at one of the schools. Can we borrow your PA? We've got a gig. Can we borrow the PA? And they're like,
Right.
sure. We'll work it out for you. Something happened where they had to go out of town, and we had to do this gig. So somehow, a couple of the guys, we all went to the school. A couple of the guys were in choir. They got in. They had to climb up into the ceiling, through the ceiling, like a Die Hard movie or something, and go to the ceiling, come back down into the choir room,
And get the PA.
unlock the doors and get the PA. Like they
Oh
told
my
us we
God.
could get it, and like we've got the show must go on. So that's how we had to get a PA. I think we rented a PA one time, but I mean, back in the day, a PA is, $500. Like, how are you gonna
Oh.
transition from the garage to actually
Right.
playing out?
Right.
And that's kind of a
Right.
funny story because
So okay, I got to ask. So out of the band
yes,
members, who shimmied up to get into the choir room?
I would say the lead singer and keyboard player, because they were the ones in choir, and they knew the choir director.
Okay.
Probably the lead singer was he was a gymnast.
Oh, really?
So
was
yeah,
there an
I
open
imagine.
window? How did they do this?
Well, we got into the school because of the janitor. So, hey, the choir teacher said we could do this. Okay, well, and then they had to go, Mission Impossible, and just climb through, and the show must go on. So,
Okay, so
you can imagine.
I'm trying to picture this. So taking out ceiling tiles and moving them aside. And
Yes,
going
yeah, we were outside, but that's what they did. They had to go in through the ceiling tiles, move that, go through the top
Oh
open,
my God.
inside and then come back down in the choir room so you could unlock the door from the
Yeah.
inside, and then we all loaded the PA, into our
Okay.
cars and trucks. So I
Man,
always thought that was really hilarious that we
it
had to
is
do that.
hilarious. So that's like a Bruce Willis movie thing. Die Hard, like you were
Yeah, that's the
saying.
Die Hard reference.
Man, I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
watch
that's the
that
Die Hard.
movie tonight. That's hilarious,
Yeah,
man.
that's a Christmas movie.
Oh man, that is hilarious. That is well, good for you guys though. I mean, making the show happen. Like people don't realize like how much money it takes to be in a band, and like all the little things that you're talking about the PA, and like I got a story that parlays off of it, not from my life, but back in the day in Pasadena, California, you got Van Halen brothers with the band called, I think, Mammoth, and you got David Lee Roth in a band called Red something, like Red
The
Rocket or
Red Jets.
the
The
Red
Red
Jets.
Jets.
Okay. Okay. So they used to borrow David Lee Roth's PA. They didn't even like him. They used to borrow his PA because they didn't have a PA. They didn't come for
They
money.
had to, so they borrowed
Yeah.
Dave's PA, and then why don't we just get him in the band? We want to keep
Yes.
paying him for this PA.
Yes.
Now, how does that happen? How do you get one of the greatest frontmen ever with one of the greatest guitar players ever? That's
Yeah.
how did that happen? You're all in Pasadena. Dave moved there from Indiana. They moved there from the Netherlands.
Yeah.
I actually lived in Glendale, which is right next to
Okay.
Pasadena. So
Yeah.
lots of inspiration in California for sure. For sure.
Yes, absolutely. I love these PA stories though, because there's a lot to it. So a lot of people don't know this story, but I know you do. So like back in the day, Ozzy Osbourne, before he had a band, he had this like poster that he put up all over wherever he grew, like Aston or Birmingham in England or whatever, and it said Ozzy Zig needs a gig, has his own PA. Like like that was a big deal. Like I got a microphone and I got a PA, so we can broadcast live in a show. Kind of funny.
Well, that's the PA stories are very true, and I hear them. I heard some of your broadcasts and heard them. So
yeah,
let's see. We were playing. Okay, we were playing in a band, and this is my junior year, and our drummer needed a new drum set. So we drove to Allen. We heard that this guy was selling his drum set. We drove to Allen, and in those days, you didn't drive to Allen if you were from Plano. But he needed a drum set. So he went and looked at this drum set. Well, he got in trouble. His parents said, you're not supposed to be doing that. Very strict religious family. You're not supposed to be doing that, going to look at these drums and everything. So he had to quit the band. So we had to look for a new drummer. So we heard this drummer was going to be playing in this band at school. And we went and checked him out, and he had this huge drum set, like Neil Peart drum set. And we're like, that's our boy. Went and talked to him, got him in the band.
Okay.
And then we needed, our singer said, hey, I know this guy from Pesh. He's got, a guitar, and, he sings, and he plays guitar, and he plays keyboards, and he's got a PA. Well, let's audition him. We need, the band's going to fall apart. And so we went over to his house, and sure enough, stacks of amps and keyboards and guitars. So we play, and he plays guitar and he sings and he sounds great. And then we play a Lover Boy song. He goes over and plays the keyboards and does the solo on the keyboards. And we're like, you are in the band.
I love it, man.
And then our singer had to quit. We auditioned a couple other singers, and then my good friend who plays in some tribute bands around Dallas. All of us still play.
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, I know a singer. I know the singer. We got to get this guy. We got to go get this guy."
Right.
So he goes, I think I know where he lives. We're like, well, let's just drive around. We're living in Plano. Plano is 3 streets. We're just going to drive around Plano till we see him. And now my guitar player from Pesh was also a football player, so he's a big guy. So we're
Right.
driving around, the three of us looking. We see him. There he is. There's that singer. We go chase him down to his house, and we all get out of the car. He's wondering, what did I do? Am I going to get my butt kicked here?
Sure.
No,
Right.
man. We just want to, talk to you about, maybe auditioning with us or joining our band.
Okay.
And I'd already played with him one time as an audition with another guitar player friend of mine, and
Okay.
it just the chemistry wasn't there for whatever reason.
Right.
But
Right.
he was in another band, and they were great. They were awesome. I don't know how we got him in our band, but we
Okay.
did. And so he joined our band, and that night we were coming up with names for the band.
Right.
That game.
Oh, that's so cool. That's got to be exciting. Like I've come up with names for my podcast. I had to come up with names for my podcast. I've written some songs over my lifetime. I've had to come up with names for my songs and things like that, and poems that I've written. But it's got to be exciting, like to come up with the name for a band, because you're going to get up on stage and you're going to be like, you're that name. It's got to be a great name.
That's when like you always kind of know, okay, that's it. And then kind of with with Desperado, I was just like, thinking, and it just kind of hit me. Well, we're kind of a bunch of desperados, kind of, all pretty much metalheads.
Yeah.
And I said Desperados, and the guys go, yeah, that's it. Yeah. And I was like, that was exciting.
Yeah.
So, anytime I see, our logo somewhere, like that.
Yeah.
Because I was going to be an artist. I mean, I was in college doing art.
Oh, I didn't
And
know
I
that.
was like, oh yeah, I was going to be an artist for the longest time. I mean, I've been drawing since I was 6. So
Okay.
I was in college, and I was also playing at night till 2 in the morning, and all my art was due, and I hadn't done it, but I was playing in bands. I was like 20, and I just go, this is not your passion. Art is not your passion. And I go, I'm just going to be a rock star. That was
awesome.
like, that's like, this is not it.
Okay. So you made me think of something, and
Good.
because you're an artist, because I can relate to this because I'm an artist. My son's a professional tattoo artist. So like when you're in high school and you're a good student and everything. So were you like doodling all over your stuff while the teacher was talking? Like, were you just like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, like,
yeah.
Yeah, no, seriously, like, I like science, and I liked English, and I liked art, but I mean, maybe some other class, it's like notes, and then the side, like just drawing. And, I mean, as an artist and coming up with names, it makes me think you just have to let your mind wander. If you're going to write songs, you sort of let it wander, and then you got to find words that rhyme and make sense and tell a story. So as far as doodling, that was the whole thing. And then I'd always see artists that were better than me, and I always wanted to be, the best at whatever I did. And gosh, there were some really good artists. There were some great musicians.
Yeah.
There was great musicians in at Arlington. There was guys that were playing with Merle Haggard.
Yeah.
I mean, people listen to this podcast, they know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And this guy was in my English class, and he was just a great guitar player. And he was playing with Merle Haggard, and Arlington was just a great place to be. I love it. I have so many fond memories of my year there. And there's obviously famous people that were around there, and
right.
We all have those stories too. So
absolutely. There's a lot to the whole doodling thing though, because like when I was a kid in high school, you couldn't tell what algebra was, what geometry was, what computer science was. Like if you looked at my notebooks, you really couldn't tell like what it had in it, like because the doodles were similar from notebook to notebook to notebook, because I just couldn't stop drawing. Like I'd get in there, I'd get a pen in my hand, and they would start talking about something, and I'm like, I'm sure that's in the book, and then I'd do whatever the hell I wanted.
When I was in 10th grade, I was in art class in Arlington, and that's when like they're like, here's the brand new Rush, and they Tom Sawyer comes on. It just blew my mind.
Oh,
so we were
yeah.
doing calligraphy and album stuff and things like that. And it was all real interesting. But then it was like, okay, now here's our sculpture terms. I'm like, well, I'm not in English class, so what does that have to, why do we have to learn vocabulary?
Yeah.
That was kind of a turnoff. And I think, 10th grade, that's like when I got to be I got into a band there and we played in the talent show.
Okay.
Same story as everybody. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to be real cool here. I'm in the talent show. I'm going to stand on this amp and then I'm going to jump off. Well, this is where I learned this. I jump off the amp and my cord comes out of my bass. So when the low end drops out, you can tell something happened. Like you said, people don't always know what the bass does. I didn't know what the bass does. I was like, Gene Simmons, he's not even really playing. Anyway, so that's when I learned, okay, you better take your cord and put it through your strap.
Okay.
And I do that every time. So a lot of those traumatic experiences on stage. One reason I don't play guitar, I ended up playing guitar like when I was 20. I had the guitar player for the band at school, the pop singers band, didn't make good grades, so he couldn't be in band. That's when they started doing that whole deal.
Right.
Okay. So that's when I started playing guitar and I had to learn all the solos. I go, well, I guess I could teach guitar. But what happened is this time for the solo came up and my volume was down because it was a Strat and it was buzzing.
Yeah.
And I forgot to turn the volume up at the first, so it's just traumatic. And I'm like, I'm this guitar thing, I'll still play, but I'm not going to play on stage. That's not my thing. So
right.
That's the bass is my warm fuzzy spot, but it's big and loud and proud. That's why I dig that.
There you go. People diss the bass, so we got to diss the people that diss the bass and give them more information, because like you're talking
information is always good.
You're talking about the low end, and anytime like I go into a listening room to listen to speakers because I'm that crazy about music. Like I go into a listening room just to listen to the speakers to decide whether I'm going to buy them or not. And I listen to multiple ones. What I'm listening for is clarity and the low end. I want to hear really good, solid, clear bass. And then I want to hear the highs. I want to hear the bass, the mid. Okay. But I like to hear like really good bass at if I'm going to listen to Metallica, I want it to make my heart race.
Unless it's the And Justice for All album. But you couldn't have told me you couldn't hear bass on there. So yeah, that was if I'm looking for a bass amp, that was what I specifically was looking for.
Yeah.
Because before Getty, like the first time I played bass, I was playing bass in somebody's garage. I'm like, I have a bass. All right, well, come over. And I'm just playing the A string, do, 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 do. And I guess it was an AC/DC song, and I didn't remember what it was, but my son's into AC/DC, so it's Hell Ain't a Bad Place to Be. Just goes do, 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 do.
Yeah.
So then these guys were playing in the garage. It's open. These guys from Vines all walk by, and they're all laughing. And I feel like they're laughing at me because I'm terrible. But
it's still better than Nikki Sixx when you started out.
Well, it was about like Nikki, and I love Nikki, but it was about like that, just do, 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 do. So they one of the guys played bass, one of the jocks played bass, and he was kind of laughing, and I was like, okay, that made an impression on me. But the guitar player in the band, he was like, this is Led Zeppelin 2. Go home and learn this. I said, okay. And I put on the Lemon song, do, 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 and that was it. So I'm a big John Paul Jones.
Oh, wow.
If I can have the bass go, I would. But I also like Getty. So I like a little bit of that highs and a lot of lows. And, I learned that you got to, sometimes live, you got to put some mids in there, but that's really not my favorite sound. I just want it to be big and loud and, blow your hair back, which,
heck yeah.
An Ampeg SVT will blow your hair back for sure.
Man, John Paul Jones, you set the ceiling high. I mean, he's got to be
that guy,
phenomenal bass player. Oh my God.
Yeah, John. If I don't really know any exact bass lines because he's just improvising. It's not the same exact bass line. Maybe rock and roll.
Like a song within a song.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
He's
that's
very
yeah,
melodic, like he's very melodic, very, like
yeah,
Ramble On has a do all that. That Led Zeppelin 2, I was like, okay, that's a different way to play the bass. So
yeah,
you kind of, you have to find your own way of playing. And then
right.
if you play in different kind of bands, when I was 18, I was playing with the guy who was doing a lot of 50s all
Hey,
night.
Ty, awesome. Okay, so you know what we should do? The next question I should ask you is about Pantera. Hold on, the dog wants back.
Okay.
Literally, the dog wants back in. Like right now, I gotta go let the dog back in. She's scratching to come back
Gotcha.
in.
They're quick. They're
All right.
girls. They just in and out.
Oh wait, no, I take that back. The one dog can open up the door herself. So what I thought
Oh,
was somebody asking to come back in was actually my other dog who can open the door herself. Literally, she takes a paw and
gosh.
puts it on the thing and stands on her hind legs and tiptoes, opens up, gets outside, and comes back in. That's kind of funny. I might leave that in the show. A dog that can open up the
I
door by herself.
For sure. I had a cat, Tommy the cat. He was a
Yeah.
Siamese cat. He would sit on the toilet and go to the bathroom. He wasn't our original cat. Somebody had trained him to sit on the toilet and go to the bathroom. I
Oh my
wish I had a
God.
picture of that. I would be watching TV and he would like sit on my back, like the Sphinx. I
Yeah.
would be like that. He'd be sitting on my back. So, my son wants
That's
a dog, but I know
crazy.
that.
They
Oh
taught
yeah,
the
I know.
cat.
I'm gonna be. Oh yeah, Tommy the cat, Siamese. They're smart.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Maybe that cat could teach my boys.
Yeah, yeah. Or I bet your other dog could teach the other dog how to open the door, and they can, I don't know.
Maybe. Well, the other dog's a little short, though. We
Yeah.
literally
See,
have
I
to
didn't know
get a
you're supposed to
step.
have. You got to have two dogs. I didn't know that. So I know that if we get a dog, I'm going to be doing a lot of the taking care of, even
Yeah,
though, my son will do, but I'm going to be there during the day, obviously. So,
there you go. There you
and then
go.
we got
Well,
to get two, and I haven't had a dog since I was in high school. So
oh,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Well, we got
I
this
love
dog.
dogs. But
Do you? We got this
yeah,
dog.
yeah, go ahead.
We got this dog. We were on vacation in Arkansas, and we were swimming in one of the swimming holes, just having a blast in rural Arkansas. And this little girl comes up with this little bitty puppy, and really pretty little. I'd say little girl. She's probably 20, and my sons are like 18 and 17 at the time, and they're like, "Oh, can we pet your puppy or whatever?" Blah 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 blah. And 30 minutes into it, she's like, this is rural Arkansas. She's like, "Well, I have 11 dogs at home. Would you guys like to have this puppy?" And I'm like, "Holy crap! How did that happen?" Like, you know, and we're renting a
The
house.
dog,
We
the
brought
dog
it
picked
in.
you guys. Yeah, I
Oh
mean
my God.
that's
Yeah, she totally did the Svengali on us. We ended up going to the vet, having the puppy checked out. The puppy checked out healthy. We took it home. It's been a great dog too. I mean, it has been I think you got to pet her or whatever when you were over at the house the other day.
I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was a sweet dog. She was a sweet
Yes.
dog. I'm a dog person for sure. I'm part dog, so that's the way that goes.
Aren't we all? Well, speaking of part dog,
Yes.
let's talk Pantera. So back in the day, and I know Pantera stands for I think it's like Spanish for black cat, isn't it? So we're talking.
Yeah, I think it's Panther. In
Oh,
Spanish,
it's
Pantera. I
Panther.
think.
Maybe it's Spanish for panther. Pantera is
Yeah, I think
Spanish
so.
for panther. Okay.
Vinny was quoted as saying they were looking for names, and
Yeah.
somebody showed the car. I believe it was
Oh,
the car,
okay.
the Pantera car. He said, "That's a cool name," which it is.
It is a very cool name. Yeah, cats and
There's
dogs.
not many like Desperado. It's kind of a Spanish name. It's kind of. I think Desperado's a Spanish name.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I lived in Arlington, like I said, in 1980,
Okay.
81.
Yeah.
Lived by the lake, and you would hear about this guitar player. Like, man, there's this guitar player that's plays Ace Frehley and Randy Rhoads. He's badass. You would hear about him,
Yeah.
and then I was at a summer job working at a pizza place, and I remember specifically these wild kids coming, and they were my age,
Yeah.
crazy hair, playing the whack-a-mole. just playing the crap out of it. I'm like, all right, keep an
Right.
eye on these guys. Because I was like, I was just starting, kind of I'm kind of a dork, I'm kind of into comic books and stuff like that. And then I got into
All
playing
good,
bass.
man. All good. No
Yeah.
worries.
So I asked my singer later, I go, my singer now, I go, hey man, where'd y'all practice? He goes, we practiced about a mile from that place. So I'm pretty sure that was the Pantera boys coming in to raise a little heck in the pizza place I was working
Oh,
at.
really?
Oh yeah,
So
for
that
sure.
was like Vinnie Paul and
I know
Dimebag?
one of them was Daryl for sure because of the crazy hair. I mean, who has that
Oh,
crazy,
wow.
long, big hair
The
at
long
that
shorts
age?
and the
Yes.
attitude, man.
Oh, for sure, for sure. So I'm pretty sure that was those guys.
Wow.
And then I moved back to Plano, but then I ended up playing with the guitar player, and I've known about Daryl for so long. I call him Diamond Daryl still. I can't tell my students this is Dimebag Daryl. I'm like,
Right.
So
Yeah.
my friend was a great guitar player also. I mean, this is another friend in Plano, not a lot to do in Plano, play guitar.
Right.
So he and Daryl would get into a lot of the guitar contests, and Daryl would win one year, or this guy would win. So then I would start hearing about him from that point on. Like, okay, here's this hot guitar player. And then about 85, my band was opening for Lightning a lot, and that had some guys from the Black Oak, Arkansas, and so everybody kind of knew everybody.
Wow.
And Pantera would be playing in Fort Worth, and then they started playing at the Basement, and then they just had the big shakeup, and they got the new singer. But what I really remember about Pantera is about 1990, the students bringing me, hey, this is Cowboys from Hell. Can you learn this? I'm going, holy crud. So when I learned that stuff, that made me a better guitar player. And I had a student that was bringing in Red Hot Chili Peppers, and that made me a better bass player. So 1990 was a good year for learning that stuff. Now,
wow.
Flash forward to about. I remember going to the Basement because my best friend, his band was playing, and it was rumored that Daryl was going to be there because Daryl used to kind of come check them out. So I remember them showing up at the Basement. We were all backstage, and Daryl was just sitting on the stage showing his kid how to play some guitar. I mean, that's what Daryl was doing.
What a big heart he had. What a big
heart.
Yeah,
he's, the guitar first for him.
Yeah.
And, the story goes that when he first auditioned, he was like, the younger brother. And, one of my bands around that time back in 81 had a younger brother situation. And then Daryl just went and, got super woodshedded for like 6 months and got super good. That's kind of how it works with the guitar. The guitar fairy comes in the middle of the night. You kind of wake up in the morning and you're better. And so, so if you flash forward to about 5 years ago, I was playing at Trees with an original band, and I was outside, and here comes Vinnie walking up. And of course, Vinnie's got one girl on each arm, and then those girls have a guy on their arm, like security. So that's Vinnie walking up, big smile on his face. This dude, what's up? That kind of thing. And he walks through, So that was really cool.
Ty, who were you opening up for when you were playing Trees?
Oh, that's a good question. That was Saigon Kick. That same band also got to open up for Autograph.
Okay.
So I've gotten to open up and play a lot.
So you met Vinnie Paul at Trees.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's where I just saw him and said, I heard that story. That was so funny. It's probably the same. I mean, I'm sure Vinnie hung out there, but it was when I heard that story.
Okay. We talked about it before. Okay.
No, I heard it last night on your podcast with Paul. So I'm curious.
Oh, okay.
You were telling about
Ace Frehley. I was there to see Ace Frehley, and Vinnie Paul was there to see Ace Frehley. The difference was
it was not
$300 to see Ace Frehley. Vinnie Paul paid $0.
I was not there that night because it was Saigon Kick, but I did see Ace at the Basement. But Trees was great. So that's the meet and greet you were doing, right? It was Ace.
Yes.
Okay.
So did Vinnie Paul high five you when you met him at
No, he
Trees?
didn't high five because he had the girls on his arms. He just kept walking.
Okay.
That was his entourage. And, I love
Man.
Vinnie Paul's drumming. Got the triggers, and he's just the
Yeah.
groove master. Um, I like to jam to some I love jamming to Pantera on bass or
Yeah.
guitar. So I'll put it
Oh
that way.
man. That's wow. That's so wild that like we got that in common. I mean, we both met him, and shortly after meeting him, he passed, which blew my mind
Yes.
when he passed.
Yes.
He didn't look like he was in bad health when I met him. He looked vibrant. Vibrant. Weird. Really wild.
Well, I learned a long time ago when I was about 16 that, you don't get every day. So make every day count. And that's
Absolutely.
what I live by.
Absolutely. So, this might be good for you to promote your guitar lessons and your band and everything. I'm going to give you this time to just like promote everything you're doing, Ty, in the Dallas area. I'll be quiet and then I'll promote what I do, and then we'll wrap it
That
up.
sounds good. That sounds great. Yeah, I'm still teaching guitar in Frisco. Um, you can go to Guitar Lessons by Ty and find my number there. Taught at Guitar Center for 10 years and resigned there this last summer.
Okay.
Really enjoying my time. Um, every Thursday, playing May Get Lucky at the Balcony Club from 6 to
Nice.
9. That's with guys from Desperado, a couple of guys
Cool.
from that band, and we'd like to have fun with that. The owner of the club's our drummer, so we get crazy and have a lot of fun.
Nice.
Desperado, Desperado is playing tonight. Playing in a new place outside of the Toyota Music Factory.
Oh, cool.
We've got an early sound check, 2:00 load in. So no cartoons this morning for me. All work.
There you go. There you go, Ty. Hey man,
Feeling
tell
like a
everybody
rock
about
star,
Desperado. Because people don't like some
John?
people don't hear this. Well, some people that hear this won't know about your band Desperado. And
Okay,
that might be interesting
Desperado.
too. Yeah, just tell them all about your band.
Desperado is Eagles tribute. We've been together as Desperado for 6 years.
Okay.
The Desperado was put together with an acoustic duo and an acoustic trio, and we sort of put it together, kept the harmonies, added the bass and drums and electric guitars, and like, this is going to be hard. We are crazy for doing this. We are not normal, but we decided to do it, and we would practice every Friday night that we weren't gigging. We practiced for hours and turned into a fun party. So we all have a great time hanging together and playing. So we're going to be this will be our last gig of the year. Going to play our special Christmas song.
Oh, that's awesome.
The Eagles used to do. Yeah. So
I just heard it the other day.
We're excited to be. Oh yeah, we're excited to play this new place. They've got like underground, and like a fish tank, and some kind of Captain Nemo Nautilus thing.
Oh wow!
So that's always it's always fun to play a new place, but it's also a little nerve-wracking.
Right.
I like this. If I can see a friendly face in the audience, that always helps me kind of get centered, and because I love to play for the audience. That's my thing.
See, you guys, this will take you back a ways. I can't remember like how many years ago this was. This might have been when like you guys maybe were first getting going. We saw you at the city, I think it was the city of Louisville 4th of July deal. And oh my God, it was amazing. Like there's Dos Equis, like you could buy cans of Dos Equis. They had to bus you and your family in. And your music was amazing because, like, I'm a huge Eagles fan. My buddy Dell's a huge Eagles fan. So we're just double fisting Dos Equis with our kids and having a great time. And then the wives drove home.
Yeah, for sure. That's the funny thing about us as Desperado, as an Eagles tribute band tributing the Eagles. We are family entertainment. We play for a lot of cities, and we loved playing for Louisville. I'm sure we'll be back there again.
We'll be there.
Pretty hot in the summer outside here in Texas.
Absolutely. Well, Ty, I'm going to go
And I'm
ahead.
from Arizona too.
Oh,
So
sure.
what, John?
I was just going to say, I'm going to go ahead and promote what I do.
I am John the Sales Warrior Sansoni. I've been professionally selling successfully for 34 years. What can I teach you? How to prospect, present, follow up, and most importantly, how to close. I have a 3-day masterclass that includes inspiration, motivation, and the mental tools to succeed in business and sales. My course includes worksheets, audio, video, and can be taken in 30 action blocks. Also included, how to have greater confidence. My course should be 400. If you get it today, 99, and included my book for free. Once purchased, you'll get free monthly inspiration from me. Just go to saleswarriorinspire.com and order yours today. That's it. Back to the show.
Okay, y'all listen up, because my dad was a salesman and John is a great salesman, and trust the guy in a hat, okay? Trust the guy that wears a cowboy hat. He's not going to shoot you wrong.
I'm wearing my cowboy hat tonight, Ty. I love it. Awesome, Ty. Man, so good having you on, man. Thanks for taking time out of your Saturday. You got a gig tonight and everything. Just so wonderful having you on and knowing you,
Well,
man.
it's exciting. It's exciting. Yeah, you and I have a lot in common, living in Kansas City and moving to Dallas. But I know it's your birthday, so happy birthday.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. It's tough because it's tough getting to be 42, but I'm dealing with it. Like I'm taking it.
Yeah, I remember when I was 42. They say life begins at 50. So you stop walking into rooms going, why did I walk into this room?
No, I'm kind of BS and I'm 57, but it sounds good to say, like, you graduated in 83. I graduated in 85. So we got that in common.
Yep.
But man, it's so cool to hear you're an artist, because like I can count on, like, this hand how many friends I have that are artists. Like hardly any of my friends besides me are artists.
Well, it's funny, John, because Keith, our Joe Walsh, he's a great guitar player. He's a great guitar player. He's a slide guitar player. I don't play slide.
Yeah.
But I'm a guitar teacher, but he is a professional artist.
Oh,
he's
wow.
the opposite. He is an graphic artist. I mean,
oh, wow.
the whole thing. So I'm the guitar player that was going to be an artist, and he was going to be a guitar player but became an artist.
There you go.
And the other thing, John, it's so funny is that listening to that podcast. I mean, you talked to Paul about Randy Rhoads.
Yeah.
If you ever have me on again, Randy's like my Hendrix. Watching Rudy play.
Hey, we're still going. Anything you want to say about Randy Rhoads or anything? Just throw it in.
No, I'm good, John. I'm good.
Oh, okay.
Maybe another show.
All right, we can have you on again.
I've played with a lot of, I've done, I played with Derek St. Holmes, Jeff Carlisi, and opened for Foghat and David Bowie. Played in Dallas with all these years, but I think it's funny that you call it the '80s. The '80s fun show. Yeah. Because like people make fun of these, like you can't unpack all the music that came out. There's so much that we're still listening to it.
Agreed.
Paul was younger, but I'm not Generation Z. I'm the MTV generation.
Me too.
So MTV, they needed material. They needed videos. So they needed to sign bands. You're good. Okay, get on. And the cost money to make those videos. Everybody's getting paid. So it was looks, but you had to have the tunes too, because it's just like a whole nother no wonder they were selling millions of records. You've got a 24-hour. Go figure.
Oh, I know. What a beautiful thing for a band. Like, you're putting out records, you're putting out cassettes, you're putting out CDs, and your stuff is being advertised 24/7 while people are drinking beer and smoking dope.
Yeah. Jeff, whoever from Jeff Tate from Queensryche, he goes, our first record was doing, okay, barely. We got into MTV. A week later, we sold 1 million copies.
Yeah.
A week later. So that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
The song plus the visual. They had promo videos in the 70s. All that stuff. So yeah, I love MTV.
I never thought of that
when
before.
You were talking to Paul, I was like, if he asked me all these same questions, this is exactly. I have the same. Drummer and bass player. It's two sides of the coin for sure.
Right, Ty, we're going to wrap it up, man. Great to have you on School's Out 80s Comedy Story Time. Go ahead, Ty. Say goodbye to everybody. Ty from Dallas, Texas, an amazing bass player for the band Desperado, an Eagles tribute band. Go ahead, Ty. Say goodbye to everybody.
Well, school's fixing to be out for Christmas and the holidays. So happy holidays, everybody. Love you. Talk to you soon.
Awesome. And John the Sales Warrior. Cheers, everybody.